Welcome to the Bleav in Steelers show on a Victory Monday. I'm Mark Bergin, joined as always by two-time Super Bowl champion Swaggin' You. He's a scout for the Steelers. He wore the number 24, Ike Taylor. IT, great to see you coming off the Steelers' 16-10 win in the jungle against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Man, they haven't pursued over 400 yards in a minute. They got it once somebody left in one game.
Ike, we will get well into it with the offense in the first game without Matt Canada. Let's pay the bills first, though. Right off the top, today's episode of Bleav in Steelers brought to you by BetOnline.ag. NFL Week 12 is wrapping up. NFL Week 13 is almost here. If you want to place a bet on any of the action, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it.
365, 24/7, regardless on what sport it is. Make sure y'all check out BetOnline.ag.
You can see the promo code on your screen right now. That's BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. Ike, 400 yards of offense. I've been waiting for this day. And I'll be honest with you, and this is no disrespect to Matt Canada, but I kind of found it funny that the very first game that the Steelers have without him as the offensive coordinator, the offense gets going, they get right. And Ike, we could talk about the 400 yards of offense, only 16 points scored, but what stands out to me as well is the domination in time of possession in this game. But what say you? What did you see, Ike?
Yeah, that's that November, December football leading up going into January, February football. So that's the most important stat you want as a coach and as an organization when you're on the back half of the season is that TOP. Man, we need that time of possession all the time, but that means we control the game. And that's what kind of games it's going to be. You know, you get to these 16-10 games, especially divisional games, and really that's all what matters. You know, because we lost last week to Cleveland, a division game, but this week we bounced back with the Cincinnati game. I think we're 2-1 in the division right now. So really you just want to stay in front of Cleveland and right underneath the Baltimore Ravens right now. So Pittsburgh really sitting in a good spot. They're just controlling their own destiny. But you always want to take care of business when you want to talk about the divisional games. And Pittsburgh not doing bad in the divisions now. It hasn't looked pretty, but who cares? As long as we keep getting them W's, really that's all what matters. Coach T said best, man, we get paid. Me and my quarterback get paid by the wins.
Yeah.
We don't get paid on what the score is.
Yeah, Ike, 3-1 in the AFC North Division.
Okay.
The Steelers improved to 7-4 overall. Big win on the road, and I know it comes against a Bengals team playing without Joe Burrow, but from an offensive standpoint, it looked differently from the start. Very first play from scrimmage, a play action pass over the middle against a too-high look to Pat Freiermuth, who had a career day. And Ike, it was in the first half where it's like, this is his greatest game as a Steeler this year. I thought he had maybe his best performance in a Steelers uniform. He had 9 catches, Ike, 9 catches, and he had 120 yards. Great efficiency, too, on 11 targets.
Yeah, he did his thing. Pat did his thing. They made Pat a part of the offense, is what you want to say. So everything a lot of people been screaming, man, why don't the Pittsburgh Steelers run somebody down the seams? I guess that's the first thing they did is attack the middle of their defense when it came down to the vertical routes with Pat. And Kenny called Pat a few times, and then it opened up the running game. Then after the running game, Najee almost went for 100. He had 99. Then Jaylen, Jaylen gonna always be that spark when he come in on the field. And Diontae, he made a few catches. And George, you get him the ball whenever you can get him the ball, he gonna make you look good regardless. So Pittsburgh did their thing on offense. But for me, it's more, let me see the third and the fourth game, how this offense will look.
Yeah.
Nobody really has no tape, or we don't really have any tendency with the new staff between the two coaches on controlling this offense. So give me 3 or 4 games, and then I can determine, what our offense should look like. But, I mean, gaining 421 yards, which you haven't done in about 4 years, that says a lot. That's going in the right direction. But even if you ain't putting up the points like that, Mark, especially like for a defensive player, you always love that TOP, that time of possession. So it helps the defense. It helps your offense getting the rhythm. but you're controlling the defense on the opposing side because it's number wear and tear you putting on them. So that was a good game plan. I'm happy for Pittsburgh. 3-1 says a lot. Herbert, these young, we're gonna get to talking about them, but
We will,
Herbert
we will, we will.
and JP Jr., them boys doing their thing.
Ike, let me interrupt you, and we will get to the defensive side. I promise. You mentioned time of possession. The Steelers had the ball for 37 minutes in 16 seconds in this one. The 421 yards of offense, the most for the Steelers in a regular season game since week 16 of the 2018 season. The Steelers hadn't had a 400-yard game since week 2 of the 2020 season. Now, if you count the playoffs, that January 2021 playoff game against the Browns where Roethlisberger almost threw it like 70 times when you face a huge deficit, the Steelers did go for more than 400 in that game. But for regular season, it's been a long time. Now, you mentioned getting a greater sample size, and I'm with you there, Ike. But one thing I noticed was when the Steelers motioned, they did this with Allen Robinson, and then they did this on a third down conversion with Jaylen Warren. They actually threw the ball to the motion man, which I had not seen since Matt Canada's tenure in 2021, where as soon as the motion man crosses the quarterback and he's not getting the ball in an end round, from a defensive standpoint, I knew that the ball wasn't going to that player. I got to see that twice yesterday from my count watching this game, Ike. So, yeah, I want to see a greater sample size, but just from a tendency standpoint, Ike, and we talk about it as fans all the time of, oh, well, the Steelers offense is so predictable, right? We're starting to do some things that incorporates utilizing the motion man once he crosses the quarterback. That was another, throwing over the middle. There were several other adjustments that this team wasn't doing when Matt Canada was in charge. That's just what my own two eyes are telling me, Ike.
I mean, obviously you can see, so you ain't lying, But it's just a good little switch up from one coordinator to the other coordinator. I think honestly, you have so many weapons on that offense, Mark. It's just gonna be what the opposing defense does and who's gonna be hot for that game. That's how I look at it.
Yep.
I don't really think, my personal opinion, I don't think our offense should go in with a game plan other than establish the run first. From the perimeter side on the outside, and even with the tight end, okay, let's see who's gonna get the hot hand this game.
The hot hand and what the other defense is going to do, because if you want to stack and double Pickens, then Diontae should be able to beat you underneath. If you want to take away Pat Freiermuth, then one of the receivers on the outside should do their thing. The running game I'm with you there, Ike, should be regardless. And I thought
the running game should be established regardless, between Najee and Jaylen. Then after that, it's pick your poison. Once we find out what you want to do, who you want double, first, second, and third down.
Yes. Ike, did you notice any differences with Kenny Pickett's performance yesterday under the new coordinators in Eddie Faulkner and Mike Sullivan? He finishes the day 24 of 33, 278 yards through the air. Again, Freiermuth was his favorite target. He got George Pickens going several times, Diontae Johnson. Pickens had 3 catches, Johnson had 4. Did you notice anything different from Pickett? I'd say what I noticed is he just looked a little bit more decisive.
Yeah, I mean, when the OC is your quarterback coach, your quarterback coach. I think people forget Coach Sullivan, man. He was there with Eli in New York. So when you sitting there and your quarterback coach now is a part of the offense, now he can really put his input. Now he really knows you because you see him every day at work. For me, I just thought he was a little bit more relaxed. I thought he was a little bit more calm in the pocket. It's different when you can sit down with the OC/quarterback coach on the sideline and y'all can both get on the same page in between the game. So that's somebody, for me, that's somebody Kenny can vent to. That's somebody who's always been encouraging to Kenny. Like everything Kenny been going through, Coach Sully been there the whole time. So now he just so happened to get bumped up to the OC. So for me, I thought it was just like a breath of fresh air for Kenny to be able to talk not only to his current OC, but to somebody he's been talking to for the longest. So you can only imagine the conversation they have, not on the field, but off the field. as well. And when you build them kind of relationships, the game is a little bit more relaxing because you know the head guy is always in your corner. So that's what I thought.
Mm, Yeah, I'm with you there. We'll get a bigger sample size because big picture beyond this season and beyond this game is what you're going to do with the offensive coordinator position to get Kenny Pickett right, to show that he was worth the 20th overall pick in this remainder of this season. But year 3, year 4, do you want to pick up his 5th-year option? That's what I'm looking at because the one thing I would say with Kenny too is, and this has kept Pittsburgh in a lot of games, he hasn't had the statistical performance that you'd like, in the sense that he has like one multiple touchdown game passing, but he hasn't turned the ball over either. And that has kept the Steelers in a lot of games to where he now holds the record with 200 plus passes now without an interception. He's gone 7 straight starts without a turnover, to where, yes, the offense hasn't been great, but what that does to keep you in games. And to build on the performance of yesterday, you say only 16 points, but if you outgain your opponent the way the Steelers did for the first time this season, first time they've done that, it was the 3rd time the Steelers have won time of possession. If you do those things, the points are going to come, I promise. So you see 16-10 on the scoreboard, but Ike, this was the first time I've watched a Steelers game in a long time where in the final 2 minutes of the game, I wasn't sweating. I wasn't on the edge of my seat, nervous of what was to come, because the Steelers did what they needed to do late in the game to get a two possession lead and to put the game away.
Yeah, like I said, that time possession is everything, Mark.
Yeah.
And when Kenny not turning the ball over, that's an extra possession. And, since he turned the ball over, really Pittsburgh could have had 3 picks that game. A few tip balls, 2 of them balls dropped over to Jamar Chase. That's how Jamar got his yards. But at the same time, that defense is playing lights out. So when you got defenses playing like that, the only thing you can ask from your offense, 2 things you can ask from your offense. Please don't turn the ball over, Kenny, and control that clock. And that's exactly what they did yesterday. And, that divisional game is huge. We're getting down to the wire of this season, and that's the first thing they look at, man. When you can win your division, regardless of how people feel about you, you're in the playoffs automatically.
All right, Ike, we will get to the defense. We got to talk some Diontae Johnson. A PSA to him. Just my 2 cents worth. If he wants to get back to a Pro Bowl level, you got to do it on every play. And you got to do it on the plays where you're not getting the football. Everyone's going to point to the play where Jaylen Warren fumbles and he's looking up, looking at Lord knows what. The ball's not coming his way. They'll point to that play. But the play before, he's got to make the catch in the end zone if he wants to be a Pro Bowl receiver. Pickett put it on him. He's got to complete that catch. And that was the play before and the play after. This comes after there were reports that he gets into a shouting match with Minkah Fitzpatrick after a very frustrating loss in Cleveland. Ike, I'm sure this will be addressed, but what I would say to Diontae is this, Ike. If he wants to get back to being a Pro Bowl, all-pro level caliber player, which he's been in this league, he's been a Pro Bowler before, you got to do it on every play. Everyone's going to have a bad rep on tape, but it cannot be for lack of effort. But Ike, you have a lot more experience in your playing career with that. What did you see from Diontae, and just what would you tell him from a player standpoint to be able to help the team?
Man, give me all that enthusiasm when you was trying to get the contract. Basically, give me everything. Give me all that effort, enthusiasm when you was trying to get the bag, bro. I ain't really got to say too much after that. He'll understand exactly what I'm saying. So the drop, it wasn't really a drop ball. It was it could have been a questionable call in the back of the end zone. So if he would have held on to it all the way when he was going down, it wouldn't have been a question on whether it was a touchdown or not. But then again, he did have possession 2 feet down. So it just depends on when you want to ask about that touchdown call, whether you want to throw that red flag or not. The pursuit to the ball on Jaylen fumble, I mean, that's what people are questioning, the effort part. So I'm not gonna question the effort part. Obviously, Diontae got to look himself in the mirror and He can answer all them questions on his own. I just know, the great ones, they don't see enough of the bag. They feel like they don't do enough on the field. They feel like they're always leaving something. Even though they pay, even though they're Pro Bowlers, they feel like they just leaving something else. It's something more they can do other than, catch the ball if you play receiver. So that's why, that's why we love, GP so much if you are still a fan. Because GP, even though he's not getting the ball, he's going to do something that we're not asking receivers to do often, but he's willing to do. And when you're willing to do something that has nothing to do with you, but for the sake of the team, that's what we look at. That's where the effort part come at. So for me, I would just tell Diontae, like, man, give me all that. Give me everything before you got the bag.
Well, Ike,
give me all the effort. Give me all the effort before the bag came.
Absolutely, Ike. And he's 27 years old. He's due to become an unrestricted free agent in 2025. So if he balls out again, Ike, he can get paid all over again.
I mean, which he will.
Yeah.
So he'll get paid, but now it's just, how big you want that bag. You feel what I'm saying? That's on you. You control. So he's in his prime right now. Mm-hmm. So anything he wants, anything he desires, he controls it. Anything. He didn't work hard enough to secure a bag. But from this point moving forward, anything Diontae wants and desires in life, it's on him. It's on him. So he want a bigger bag than what he got. It's gonna be some of them effort plays. He want a bigger bag than what he got. It's gonna be okay. Them touchdown plays where Wayne got a question, Wayne got to throw the red flags. It's not that hard. It's super simple. But he controls his own destiny with everything he do.
Do you mean that in terms of the on-field success, Ike?
Yeah, I'm talking about on-field. Off the field, you ain't got to worry about Diontae. Diontae always keep his nose clean, stay out of trouble. That's what
you're talking about, like on-field performance, athletic excellence, just excellence at the receiver position?
No, just the consistency on when you're not getting the ball. Because you showed it. You showed where they ran your way and you had to block. You're not blocking like George, but we're not asking you to block like George. You blocking long enough for, a 6-yard game to be a 30-yard game. You didn't show that. It's just the consistent part of that. Now, to his defense, he said he didn't see. He said something. He didn't see what was going on. I forgot what Diontae said. But man, for me, just overall, in general, man, let me pop in that tape when you were trying to get the bag. Let me just pop in that year when you were trying to get the bag. Whether it was running or passing. Now let me pop in that tape after you got the bag. That's two. I don't want it to look no different. It's what I'm saying to Diontae.
All right, Ike. Well said. I want to move to the defensive side of the ball. I promised. We know what TJ Watt did. 2 sacks. But Joey Porter Jr. against Jamar Chase. And I swear, after 2 deflections that could have been picks that were good plays, it's like Jamar just was a magnet to the ball. He's a special player. And it was almost like the Bengals schemed it up. But Joey Porter Jr. against Jamar Chase on 28 routes, or on 24 of Chase's 28 routes. Press coverage a lot of the time on the 10 routes. Chase caught both of his targets with Porter as the nearest defender, but tight windows from Porter where, like, one of the catches Chase had along the sidelines where it had to be a perfect pass from Jake Browning, but like, I can't, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I think the Steelers are getting their lockdown number 1 corner, Ike, for the first time since like you played.
Yeah, JP Jr. just, I mean, he just had to calm down and settle his feet in. And once he calmed down and settled his feet in, you starting to see like the dude ain't been here before. What I mean by that, like he hasn't played in the NFL, but between his dad and myself, like in that locker room, in the times he was small, like, man, I say it all the time, man, between my son And my nephew was like, they didn't been in Super Bowls, they didn't been in playoffs, they didn't see the confetti come down, they didn't been in training camps, they didn't been to selfless locker rooms, they didn't been to when you're around that 12 years and you only missed the playoffs 2 out of them 12 years, but you just still keep going to the AFC championships and the Super Bowls, like that's all you know. So you just been around the whole process. So JP Jr. just been around the whole process. So when off season and you got opportunity to go against Antonio Brown, but you still in high school, like what you how you want him to think? What you want him to do? So you going against NFL receivers, but you in high school, and it's just off of GP because Pops and them play in the league, and you still in the league with them. So I don't in off season. So I don't know what Martavis Brown, like I don't know what you want the man to do, how you want him to feel. Like it's just now he just actually had to get to that level to be like, okay, but when you going against all pro receivers in high school for just to train. When I get to that level, like, what we talking about? Why? What? There's no reason for me to be nervous. Hey, don't forget, JP Jr. did that too. He went to the coaching staff and asked the coaching staff if he can shadow the team's best receiver. They didn't come to him, so that's letting you know where his mind at. Like, all I know, Uncle Ike, when he was playing, he went to the coaching staff, and the coaching staff had to feel some kind of way to say yes, because they could have easily said no. But the fact that he's a rookie and he like, okay, who I got this week? All right, you got Jamar. All right, this what we doing. So, but mentally he's been here before. And if you don't know JP Jr. history, the fact that he had the luxury of training and going against all pro receivers while he was in high school, while he was in college. It's the reason why he's doing what he's doing right now, Mark.
Maybe this is just a meatball take. This might be the stupidest thing I've ever said on the show. Let me go full meatball here for a second, Ike. The level of confidence that he has, considering he had one interception during his playing career at Penn State. Now, I know that teams were probably throwing away from him because you scout a player of his caliber and of his talent if he's going to be a first or second round pick in the draft. But from like the casual fan perspective, you look at just the stats alone and they don't always tell the full story, Ike. But he had one college interception at Penn State, and now he's locking up DeAndre Hopkins, Jamar Chase. It's unbelievable to me.
It's all about matchups. People forget, man, JP Jr. like 6'3.5". So 6'3.5" for the NFL is really like 6'4.5", because they ask you to stand on your heels with your back against the wall. So you can't get on your tippy toes. It's not like a driver's license where you can lie and be like, man, you're 5'11", but you're really 5'9". That NFL height is real live NFL height. So if they say you 6'3" and some change, you 6'3" and some change in the NFL, you really 6'4" in the regular world, 6'4.5". So it's the height. But the confidence, like I say, man, just been around that locker room since he was small, man. It just kind of leaks up off of you. Then when we was in that locker room, we was winning Super Bowls, AFC championships, playoffs. Like, that's all we knew. The only time I didn't, 10 out of 12, 2 years. I think 2 years out of 12, I didn't see the playoffs. You feel me? So, and little JP Jr. been a part of that as well. So then he go to Penn State, handle his business at Penn State, but now he back home. The dude ain't got to leave his mom or his dad's house unless he want to get something on his own. So he back at the crib. His daddy played, his daddy coached for Pittsburgh, and they still got the house in Pittsburgh. They got a foundation. They got their own building. It's a lot they got going on in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh home for the Porter family, and he just so happened to get drafted by the same organization.
We got to give some love to, TJ Watt, 2 more sacks, and then your guy, Nick Herbig, as well, who's made the most of his opportunities off the edge when he plays. He had another sack as well. I love seeing Cam and TJ meet at the quarterback too. And then, like you said too, Trenton Thompson with an interception, filling in due to injuries. The Steelers could have had more interceptions too, but I like seeing how opportunistic that they play. And this defense is really starting to round into form, Ike. They've held their opponent to 20 points or less for 7 consecutive games. So we're starting to get into late November, December, January. And if the offense can even be competent, and we saw that yesterday, Ike, and you say, well, Mark, 16-10. Well, if Diontae Johnson catches that pass, if they don't fumble and they get a field goal, you're talking about a multiple score game that they win by against a division opponent on Sunday. It makes me really excited, especially when I look at the Steelers' schedule on the back half of the season, Ike. But I got to give shout out to all of those defensive players. I'd say TJ Watt, which is the grass is green, the sky is blue, and TJ Watt's going to make plays. Herbig off the edge. And then Trenton Thompson's interception I thought was absolutely huge on Sunday.
Yeah, so with Trenton, I like Trenton coming out, training camp. Dude just hopped off the plane from the West Coast, came to training camp, got his playbook, and he was always around the ball. That's what I saw. He was always around the ball. And I guess Coach T saw the same thing I saw. That's why he's on the field right now, coming from San Diego State. Also, the rookies between JP Jr., between Herbert and Keanu Bento, he going crazy on that defensive line. I mean, when you want to talk about usual suspects, Cam is a usual suspect. He's going to always ball out, future Hall of Famer. TJ, usual suspect. He's going to always ball out, future Hall of Famer. Now it's, okay, who we got up and coming that can contribute? And when you got Herbert, JP Jr., and Bento contributing as rookies, that's saying a lot. Not only on the defensive side, like, okay, we're working with something. We got some kind of depth, So at the same time, and you got undrafted free agents. DeMonte Casey been playing well.
He almost had a pick six, Ike, to where if he catches that,
yeah. So it's you can dang near go down the line. I don't think Alex Highsmith is going to turn up later. I know TJ is he's doing this thing right now, but for me, I can just tell the tables will turn a little bit for Alex on the back end. So we're gonna catch a lot of hot tape from Alex Highsmith on the back end. That's when it usually just like take off. But I mean, that defense is just playing lights out, Mark. I mean, what else do you want your defense to do? And now the offense gonna catch up to it.
Play your best football in the back half of the season. I can get hot.
That's when you won't peak. That's when you won't peak, Mark. You won't peak on the back end. You don't care nothing about the front end. Man, you want to peak around this time right here, lead into that playoff push.
Ike, one other player who deserves praise. Chris Boswell has been fantastic this season.
Fire.
I think he's been an all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber kicker. I know Justin Tucker actually missed one last night for the first time that it seems in an eternity. Boswell has only one missed field goal on a long attempt before the end of the first half. He's only missed one field goal. He's not missed an extra point. 3 of 3 yesterday. Mr. Reliable for the Steelers when points have been a premium. And he displayed that yet again on Sunday against the Bengals. But he deserves a lot of praise. And Ike, I think if he continues this out for the remainder of the season, I think he deserves a Pro Bowl nod. I think he's been that good for Pittsburgh.
No, Boswell been healthy. Last year Boswell was dealing with injuries. So Boswell couldn't beat Boswell. Now Boswell healthy like Mr. Automatic right now between him and Tuck. Them two boys. Them two boys, man. It's a good feeling where when they get close to the game, that's 3 automatic. Like I got a for sure 3 from Boswell if I need it. That's that joker, in the pocket. Heck with the ace, man. I got Joker sitting on the sideline. Man, let me just put him in about a 55, 58-yard range, and that's money. So that's what Boswell been doing. So you said right, but the fact that Boswell is healthy, Boswell just being Boswell, that's all.
That was the common denominator when he had his worst statistical year last year, and then in 2018, right. Injuries. Ike, you hit the nail on the head there, to where you look at the stats and say, well, what happened this season? Injuries were the common factors. Again, the 2018 season and then last season with Chris Boswell. Week 13 against the Cardinals, like Steelers open as 6.5-point favorites. We'll talk more later this week about this matchup. But again, I don't want to look too far ahead. You take it week by week, but I look at the quarterback matchups for Pittsburgh, and I know Kyler Murray's coming back from injury. But at home, you should take care of business against a team that doesn't have many wins in the NFC. And I look at the back half of the Steelers' schedule. I expect them to make the playoffs. And like I said this too, a successful year this year is go win a playoff game for the first time in several years. But you got to take it week by week. And against Arizona at home, you should take care of business, Ike. And again, we see another game with the two new offensive minds in charge in Mike Sullivan, Eddie Faulkner as well, too. So I'm excited for that, Ike. But then it's the first time we'll get a taste of this at home at Pittsburgh, Acrisure Stadium. So I'm very excited to see game 2. Okay, can this offense continue to build under new leadership in a post-Matt Canada Steelers?
One thing I've been saying what the Pittsburgh Steelers have been doing of late is handle their business from a defense perspective on stopping the run. So we got a former Pittsburgh Steelers running back coming back, James Conner, and I know James going to feel some kind of way coming back to Acrisure Stadium, coming back to his hometown in the city of Pittsburgh. Kyler Murray is looking like Kyler Murray. What you got to do is keep Kyler Murray in the pocket. If you let Kyler keep scrambling and doing what he's doing, Mighty Mouse will come out and he will hurt you. So we shall see. And to your point on the offensive side, this is going to be week 2. So we're going to see what Sully and company splitting the OC reps. We're going to see what they got in store for the Arizona Cardinals.
All right, Ike, we'll break that down later this week. I'd kind of employ some of the same strategies the Steelers use against Lamar Jackson, against Kyler Murray, but we will talk about that here later this week. I want to thank you, the Bleav Network, today's presenting sponsor, BetOnline.ag. Again, head over to BetOnline.ag for all of your NFL betting needs this season. Ike, I want to thank you and the listeners and the viewers. This has been an absolute delight. Ike, we're well into our 5th season now, and the show just keeps growing and growing. So if you're watching on YouTube, tap subscribe, Apple, Stitcher, 5 stars and 5 stars only.
Yeah, I want to appreciate one thing, everybody, for tuning in, watching Mark and I. Got to thank BetOnline.ag, who's been rocking with us, sponsoring us since day one, Bleav in Steelers podcast. Got to thank the viewers, man, for always tuning in. Make sure y'all view and subscribe and throw us some questions, too. We always like for y'all to throw us questions every time, every opportunity y'all can.
Ike, we'll probably go live Wednesday or Thursday this week, so we will talk then. We'll go live on YouTube. Always love getting the listener questions in. Again, thank you, Ike Taylor. You're the absolute best. My name is Mark Bergin. Thanks for listening to the Bleav in Steelers show. We'll see you later this week. Until then, take care and so long, everybody.
Peace.